Hey there YouTube, I'm Yukitsu, this is Yukitsu Times, welcome to my channel, welcome to some more Battlefleet Gothic. So one of the things that I think is very valid and people have been talking about is they've been complaining that Eldar are extremely hard to beat, probably overpowered, and to a certain extent they're right, Eldar do need some fine-tuning, some balancing, but they are acting as though they're completely unbeatable in the current state of things. And that's just not true right now. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how my Orc fleet deals with Eldar. And this is a very sort of specific setup that I have. I've got these Blood Axe bashes here that I use for this purpose. And there's actually another set of fleet composition that I've used against Eldar pretty effectively. This is just one of them. So the reason that a lot of people have difficulty with Eldar is that they sort of expect that they should be able to just chase after them and be able to kill them in that sort of way, but realistically you're not going to be able to chase down the Eldar all that easily. You're going to have to rely on some tricky things to either force them to come close to you or to directly kill them. You need to do things that will sort of catch them up off guard and then wallop them once they get in close there, or you need to be able to just kill them at long range. So this particular composition, those blood axes on these bashes, lets me have lots and lots of Nova Cannons. I've got 4 Nova Cannons here, as you can see. It's a 600 point match, this particular one. Now we're still probably going to lose this one because it's an assassination, and there are ways for Eldar to just cheese through assassinations that I can't really easily deal with, but if he ends up being relatively close to me at spawn, then I might be able to Nova down his lead ship. But yeah, realistically, we're going to lose this one just because of the mission type. Assassination does not favor orcs on the attack, just because their ships are so slow that quite often you'll find that you're not actually capable of destroying the enemy ship in time. Okay, so here's the reason that sort of these orc ships are so deadly on the assassination, or sorry, on the attack. Looks like my opponent's actually getting himself in a bit of a pickle here. He's got his assassination target sort of isolated. But yeah, the Nova Cannon is longer range than really anything that the Eldar have in their arsenal. It's got that range of up to 25,000, which is farther than any ship that they can realistically use. We're going to go ahead and start firing these. Right, so he's got his ship on brace for impact, but as you can see there is some scatter to it, so I'm not going to hit reliably with this thing. And in fact, you can see that one just missing by a mile there, but that's okay. In fact, we might even not be able to hit this guy at all, but basically it doesn't really matter that much. You just keep flinging these out, and if your opponent keeps insisting on not getting in close to your ships, you can do fine. You can see that he's using his pulsars from extremely long range, trying to kill my ships that way, but it's not necessarily going to work for him because he's trying to he has to kill the Nova Cannons, but he's sort of poking at my Savage Gunships. And, like, who cares? Like, I can lose my Savage Gunships, no problem. Because they're expendable. They're just here to absorb shots so I can try and kill their general ship. Let's go ahead and hit the red button here. Try and dodge out of some of that stuff. So, there's our target. Let's lay down some more fire. It's no longer braced for impact. Now, we've taken down quite a lot of his health already, so let's go ahead and have this set to automatic repairs. We're sending out some bombers after him as well now, so that'll help deal some damage. And at this point in time, let's see if we can't get one of our micro warp jump ones or something like that out there. I don't know. Oh, there goes another one of our Savage Gunships, but again, who cares? Looks like our micro warp jump was all the way back here, but alright, let's get you guys just about off cooldown here. Screw it, let's just use control. Alright, let's red button here so that they're a little bit closer. And all we have to do is tag them with one of these Nova Cannon blasts. There we go. Alright, so my opponent wasn't really that good. He should have been able to more easily defend his capital ship there. There's ways to dodge those shots a little bit, but yeah, no, he was definitely easily in range. But yeah, I mean, that's one way to deal with Eldar. If they're trying to use their speed and their maneuverability to keep a distance away from you, if you sort of just move after them, that red button is actually faster in many ways than the Eldar boost. Like, the Eldar boost moves faster, strictly speaking, but it's such a short duration that the Orcish one actually moves them faster. So that is one way for you to win against the Eldar with the Orcs. I mean, like, people complain, and I was really lucky that my Nova cannons didn't explode in that particular match, but it didn't really matter. I could have done another 2 volleys and I still would have gotten the same results. And, you know, the fighters eventually probably would have done some damage to it a little bit. The fighters for Orcs are pretty terrible. But, I mean, yeah, the Eldar sort of can beat that if they're using certain compositions, and if it's not assassination where I just need to kill one ship. But even when they're losing ships at a rate of very, very slowly, if all they're killing is my Savage gunships, they're going to lose the fight, and that's something that the Eldar can't really afford. I'll try and get into another match that sort of is against the Eldar, but just sort of to take a look at what I've got here. We've got ships that have sort of the shield focus here with the extra shields and stuff like that. That's just that extra 100 hit points is another full Nova Blast. So one Nova cannon does 90 damage to shields. So like an Aurora or something like that does 180 damage if they get all the beams to hit perfectly, which doesn't always happen. So the extra shields means that you've still got 20 shields left after an Aurora hits you. You've just barely lost your shields if you're getting hit by something like an Eclipse. And if you're getting hit by something heavier than that, like a Void Stalker, then yeah, that's going to puncture the shields and still cause some good damage to you, but it's not too big a deal. What's going to probably happen is some of those shots are going to hit your Savage gunships, because you just keep them in a screen around your big bashes. And if you're doing that, then those Savage gunships will explode, but it doesn't really matter. It's important to take them as well, because if your opponent realizes that you're just going to fling artillery at him from long distance, he can get up close, because these ships are incredibly not dangerous actually up close. The Basha is not a particularly deadly ship to the Eldar necessarily, just because they don't have that many guns on them, especially my carrier ones. But if he does get up close like that, then and tries to assassinate the Bashas instead of trying to kill the Savage gunships, he has to fight through the Savage gunships, and they can deal damage to him, and that takes time. And or that deals a lot of damage to him. If he's in there with the Savage gunships and they're using their lock on target, you just switch it so that you're focusing firing one of those ships at a time. They'll probably kill that ship, the Savage gunships, really, really easily, because they're really high damage. And if they get close, the Eldar don't have the kind of armor or resilience to fight the Savage gunships up close. If they decide to pick at the Savage gunships, by the time he's killed them all, you've probably launched 3 or 4 volleys of Nova Cannon fire. And even if most of them have exploded by then, your opponent has probably lost a couple of his ships and is probably going to try and warp out by then. Even if he doesn't, if he does try to get close, it is possible to run in the last few ships and just clean up if he tries to do anything too much. Because it's possible to deal a little bit damage with the Orcs. But we'll try and do another fight with the Eldar, and we'll see what happens. Because I've got another strategy that kind of works with them. Alright, so this is sort of the second lineup that I've got that sort of works against Eldar. You know, you still lose some, you still win some, so not going to do any guarantees here or anything like that. But we've got a couple of hammers, we've got a trio of terrors, so this is a heavier fleet. You just want to avoid taking the death dealer, because it is too slow, even with things like micro warp jump and extra boosters, which I don't even have on mine yet. So, you know, you take things like the terrors because they've got that bit of extra speed while still having really good guns. And what we're going to do is show you how to do the Orcish Blitz, which is an interesting way to play the game. Basically, the Orcs have like this really good, sort of like 12,000 range Blitzkrieg tactic that you can sort of do against factions like Eldar and against factions like Chaos. You sort of have to do it, and then you sort of have to wait till it goes on cooldown again. So it lets you kill like 1 or 2 ships really well, and sometimes throws your opponent a bit into disarray, but it's not necessarily going to win you ship-to-ship fights by themselves. So you have to still be pretty careful, and this is a higher level strategy in that it requires a lot more renown to do. But once you get there, you know, it's relatively okay. One of the things that's nice about this fleet is that you've got the 150 speed on the battlecruiser, the Hammer, and you've got the same sort of thing on the Terrors. So one of the things that we've got with our Terrors is we've got the increased line of sight. So as you can see, I can see quite far with this thing. Interestingly, your micro warp jump is tied to your vision radius, so these guys can micro warp jump out like really quite far. Some of our hammers have that as well, so it's one of those really nice things about this game. Gonna go ahead and have these guys activate some of these abilities. Actually, I'm not gonna activate my bomb there on default. And we're gonna go ahead and hit ready. Actually, we will use boarding torpedoes, I think. So we got 2 Bad Moon hammers, and they're quite decent. So I think a nice ability to have on something that's big and bruisey like this is to have those extra upgrades, because upgrades really do make a big difference. Let me get that more explicit scanner. Of course, I don't have all the upgrades on both of these yet, but just one more. So, and frankly, the one that I would add to this is the ability to deal damage at close range a little bit better, which doesn't matter against the Eldar, so that's kind of fine. I've actually got it on a lot of these ships, because I use these ships against other people. The other important thing that I've got is the boosted all ahead full. Looks like my opponent is not going for like the really cheesy Eldar list, because he's got 8 ships so far. He might even have a little bit more. So, yeah, what's interesting about this type of fleet is just the sheer shock value that you can get out of an opponent by blitzing the huge distances that you can. Because you sort of can do, what you do is you hit the micro warp jump button with these guys, and they'll start revving up that, and you've got a few seconds before they actually do the micro warp jump. And once they do, you can hit the red button while they're in the animation, and this lets them actually boost out as soon as they've finished that, giving you an opportunity to deal a lot of distance, like, instantly, so it's quite good, actually. I don't think I've actually got the main torpedo ships. Yeah, so we're just going to fire these off scattershot, see if I can flush out whatever he had hiding there. I noticed he's got, like, a couple Alitok ships, or he's put his ships onto running silently, so... Ugh. Just gunk in my throat, it's awful. Alright, so he's sending out a recon ship, and this is a thing that a lot of factions do if they don't use recon beacons, and I don't necessarily think you need recon beacons. Looks like he was running silent. Oh no, those must be a Alitok. I think they're just moving now. But, yeah, so our goal with this fleet is to just suddenly blitzkrieg him out from like a million miles away. We're going to turn off these shock attack mega cannons. The reason is that this is an escort, and I don't really want to be firing at an escort with my big scary gun. Oop, we just ran into a mine, I think. Oh, that was close. I was not paying attention to that. I usually pay more attention when I've got lots of escorts, but haven't got one of those today. Alright, so there's a little bit of a cloud here, and I think my opponent is hiding a ship in there, but that aside.
Enemy ship sighted!
Alright. Oops, let's turn off lightning strike. But that is nice to do against this sort of thing, because it's really good damage against something like an escort, so that'll take away that guy. So what you do when your opponent puts you into the situation where he's spotted you is you just walk into a gas cloud.
You got it!
So we're just going to move all our guys into the gas cloud. It will remove line of sight for his ships, and then we'll go back out of it after that. He's got ships that are coming around to flank us from behind, but doesn't matter much. So this ship has been in the gas cloud, so they lose identification on it. And this is super important because you can't shoot at an unidentified ship, even though like they shouldn't actually have the system. Like, once a ship has been identified, like if it walks into a gas cloud or if it goes run silently, once it appears back out, you should have it considered identified. But you know, however they want to do it, I'm not going to judge too much.
You got it!
Just because line of sight bullshittery is actually one of the most annoying things in this game, in my opinion. Alright, so here's some ships that are lined up for a potential blitzkrieg.
Yeah.
Alright, so we've got all our ships in stealth mode now. Just want to make sure that all of our ships are kind of... yeah, you can see those fighters that he deployed. He was trying to deploy some bombers against me while I was still visible.
He's ready!
Up. And once you've sort of lost visibility against a ship, you lose the ability to launch bombers, and the bombers will just return. So this is another good reason. This is actually a very important technique against chaos in particular. So these guys are a Alitok, so they're probably just standing still. They're probably just waiting until I get closer. Yeah, so they're quite close by. We're going to go ahead and actually... Okay, we've got some...
Oh, Duke, guide us! Enemy ship sighted!
Alright, and that's the Orc Blitz. Destroyed one of my weapons though.
You got it. Who's ready?
Let's try and disable their engines here. Make sure we're disabling the right sort of stuff. Let's go ahead and taunt this guy.
You're just a waiting git.
Now, I haven't actually used a whole lot of my abilities here, so we're going to go ahead and do another one of these.
Enemy ship sighted.
We're going to go ahead and actually do a quick pull on this guy. Oh, on this guy, actually. There we go. Fair enough. So that's actually something that's really, really fun to do with the orcs, is to just go in and ram ships like that. Where the hell is he? Up here? Okay. Now, we can't run silently with our ships, which is really bad, but that's okay. Our opponent is keeping his distance from us to a certain extent, so let's go ahead and...
Enemy ship sighted. Who's ready?
Alright, let's do another bit of a pull there.
You're just a waiting git.
Alright, let's put the fire out on this guy.
You're just a waiting git.
Let's go ahead and pour in. Try and take out those engines. These generators are already gone, so that's good for us.
Oaks is best.
Weapon destroyed on these guys. I should pay attention to my other ships as well to a certain extent. Where the hell are my other ships?
Yeah.
Alright, let's go ahead and do a micro warp jump over to here. Watch this. Oh shit, I misaligned it. Alright, well, whatever. Let's go ahead and grab our other ships up here.
Oaks is best.
Engines destroyed on these guys here. Alright, that ship that's running silently is probably going to get away from us, but... Nope.
Enemy ship
Don't think so, buddy. I think I'm launching torpedoes at myself here. Hopefully these are boarding torpedoes. I don't think they cause friendly fire. And so that's another ship of theirs down. So you can see he's tickling at me with these, Have I got any micro warp jumps here?
Yeah.
Nope, not on that one. Do I have one on this one? Nope. Yeah, so I'm going to take a bit of damage there, but that's fine.
What you want?
Let's go ahead and drop a stasis bomb on them. Counter stasis whenever you get a chance to. Gonna brace for impact here. Alright, let's see if we can't cause a little bit of pain and suffering to these guys. Alright, so let's go ahead and do a pull here. Thought you were gonna get away, didn't you, buddy?
You got it.
Oh. Oh, jeez.
Oaks is best.
Alright, so let's try and get our other ships back in the fight here. I'm not managing them particularly well, but, you know, it's kind of fair. My opponent's not necessarily doing the best job either, I don't think.
You got it.
Alright, so let's see if we can't get a...
You're just a waiting git.
Oh, damn it, I missed. I was hoping we'd get that. I love those rams where you do it that way. Okay, let's go ahead and do another lineup here. Taunt.
You're just a waiting git.
There. It's just, like, the sheer distance that you can do this from is farther than any Eldar weapon. Like, there's people who talk about, for example, Eldar using, like, 12,000 range pulsars, and that's really, really, you know, whatever, but looks like my opponent's warping out with the rest of his ships. That's fine. I don't know where they actually are, so that's okay. But, like, Eldar players that sort of, do that, try to dance around, like, they can't dance around that kind of orc blitzkrieg. Like, there was that one ship you guys saw that was actually trying to move away from you as fast as possible. Is just turned directly away from me. Is using blitz. There's just nothing that it could do to get away from me, and that's kind of what it's supposed to be like when you're playing as orcs against the Eldar. Like, you have to sort of play that way. You know what? I'm not 100% sure where this last little escort of theirs is going to be.
What you want?
I'm pretty sure that it's just going to be a little escort or something like that, but we have to check the gas clouds at this point in time, which is kind of annoying that our opponent's doing this, but... You know, it'd be funny if it's actually like a cruiser or something that they just didn't have. It's possible.
Back boys, get to where you lazy gits.
Alright, so... Yeah, I'm just gonna hunt down his last ship. It doesn't really matter all that much. Like, we've won this, definitely. I'm pretty sure that's pretty obvious that we have.
What you want?
So, like... Yeah, Eldar are pretty strong right now. They have a lot of different options that sort of work against a lot of different things, but that doesn't mean they're not pretty easy to beat if you know what you're doing and can execute on that strategy. Like, I have no problem whatsoever doing this to Eldar most games, and I have no problem really doing that thing with the Noah cannons either. It just isn't really too spectacularly tough. So you just have to figure out how to avoid jumping into a match, assuming that the Eldar are going to fall right into your you know, normal mode of fighting. You have to assume that they're going to try and dance around you. They're going to try and stay out of melee range. They're trying to avoid get rammed and all that other stuff. But honestly, if you can do something that stops them from running away like that, if you can get them to stop moving in the way that they would normally want to, there's nothing they can do. They just instantly lose, essentially. So, yeah, that's our video for today. I hope you found this enjoyable. I'm pretty sure they'll still nerf Eldar, but definitely give this sort of strategy a check. It's, you know, one of those things that I think that people... Oh.
You got it. Enemy ship sighted.
Alright, so let's go ahead and...
You're just a weedy git.
I'm gonna go into a mine, but you know what, that's fine.
What you want?
No, little buddy.
You got it.
Yeah, this is where it's gonna be difficult to kill him, because
Fix it.
definitely has the ability to run from me here. These two shock cannons is probably gonna help it. I think my opponent's capitulated here.
Oaks is
Oh no.
best. He's ready.
Alright. We're just trying to cause fires here, because they deal good damage to escorts. Let's go ahead and micro warp jump here.
Yeah.
Full taunt,
You're just a weedy git.
and that'll be the match.
Back boys, get to where you lazy gits.
Bonk. Alright. Yeah, so, you know, playing against Eldar, it's not actually as hard as people make it out to be. You just have to know what you're doing. Unfortunately for orcs, you know, you do need higher level ships, but honestly, the Basha one, where you're just using Noah cannons, it works at lower levels. It works perfectly fine, and there's nothing really wrong with just relying on that sort of strategy. Once you get up to this point where you've got bigger, better ships, you can do this sort of other stuff. There are other factions, of course, that struggle more against them, but honestly, if you can catch Eldar this easily with the slowest faction in the game, orcs are the slowest faction in the game, then I mean, why can't you catch them with anyone else? You shouldn't actually be having that sort of issue. So I hope you found this episode enjoyable. I know that it is going to be interesting to see how they do end up rebalancing the Eldar, because a lot of people are claiming that they're broken and a lot of their mechanics really kind of are too strong. But you can't nerf them too much, because like you have matches like this already. If you know what you're doing against Eldar, it's not necessarily that bad. Of course, a better, more aggressive Eldar player, or one maybe that had a Void... Well, actually, no, a Void Stalker would have been a terrible idea here. Someone who had a firmer grasp maybe on how to deal with this might have been able to get out of it, but honestly, it's really hard to beat the strategy using the Eldar, or, as Chaos. This is actually my anti-Chaos fleet more specifically, so that's why it's got the close-range ship buster abilities, but, I mean... an Eldar escort could not escape my hammers. Like, that should really be something that tells you a lot about how this game works. If you've got sort of the ability to manage your units correctly and micro them correctly, if an escort's running directly away from you, you can still catch it, even if it's an Eldar one. So yeah, give this sort of thing a try. I hope you found this episode enjoyable, and of course, as always, I hope to see you all next time.